Looks like Matt has some tough decisions to make as we are days away from the finale and learning who Matt decides to choose. Now, I have my own opinions about this, but I'm actually joined by Pieper James, so we'll get her take on this. Pieper, so good to have you here. How are you?
So good to see you. Good. I'm good. How are you?
I am fantastic. So you know me, Pieper. I'm coming right out of the gate with this one. You know these women. We're
Mhm.
down to the final two, Michelle and Rachel. Who do you think is the better choice for Matt James?
I think they're both amazing women. But I think that, since Michelle's one-on-one, we've just seen that chemistry building. And, to me, that seems like the obvious choice, but it's hard to know what Matt's thinking at any point in time. So I guess we'll have to see.
It's interesting you say about what Matt's thinking because we've seen Matt's relationship develop with Michelle, as you said. We've also seen it develop with Rachel, but there's only one woman that he said he's falling in love with, and that's Rachel. Does that sway
Mhm.
your decision in any way? Or do you think the producers are trying to throw us off here? I'm confused. What do you think?
Yeah, yeah, watching that back, that was, you know, just kind of wild because he did say he was falling in love with Rachel. And for somebody who says that they've never been in love before, obviously that's a really big step and a really big thing to say. So, that does play to my thoughts, but I don't know. I'm going off of what I see on the screen, and I see him and Michelle having better chemistry, but the words he's saying to Rachel also make a lot of sense in terms of them ending up together. So,
Yeah, last night was a heavy episode for a lot of reasons, Pieper. So I'm going to start off with the top of the episode, the first 15 minutes, where we see Matt sit down with his father and have a very intense conversation. I personally felt
mhm.
weird watching it. I felt like maybe this isn't something that I should be watching. What was your take on that conversation between Matt and his father?
Yeah, that's a hard conversation to watch. Also knowing that like a lot of families kind of go through that where there may be a father figure that's absent, and then coming back together. That's never a reunion that's easy, whether it's father, mother, grandparent, whatever it may be. So I don't. I also didn't feel comfortable watching that through, just because I'm like, this feels like a very private conversation for these people to have independently. Um, but I think it's also the first time that we really get to see Matt's emotions on something other than his romantic relationships, and I think that makes everyone be able to relate to him on more of a human level rather than just as somebody who's leading this show, and that's important to see. But I don't necessarily know if that was the conversation that we needed to see to feel that connection with him.
Do you think that conversation should have been aired?
I personally don't, and that's just from I think the women of the season, when we put out our statement, we talked about tokenizing, and I think tokenizing that narrative of a black absentee father is not something that needed to be aired, just in terms of perpetuating stereotypes. I don't think that that was necessary, um, and I don't, while it's a television show, and obviously we all know what we signed up for, having those conversations with family maybe that haven't been had before, and obviously we don't know the whole situation there with Matt and his father. um I don't know if that was everyone's business to see, and that's just my opinion on that.
Yeah, no, very well said, Piper. I couldn't agree with you more. And you did mention the statement that you, along with the other women from Matt's season, decided to put out, which I felt was very powerful, and I was moved by that. What was behind that decision? Because we've never seen the women of a season come together in that way.
Yeah, I mean, the I know that the six women that wrote the statement, they're moved by everything that was happening in the world, and watching the show back, and then just also looking at the data of what was being shown, and then obviously seeing the hate that you were getting online, and just knowing that you know black stories are nuanced, and everybody's has a different story. And while this season was a diverse season and it was amazing to have a black lead, there's still a lot of work to be done. And I think that we've seen that. And we as the cast wanted to just say, we acknowledge that, we see that, and we stand with all communities of color and all of their, nuances in that.
I have to say that the actions that you guys took, the six women, it really had a domino effect where the other women from your season started to post it. Then we saw the men from Claire and Tayshia's season put out a statement. And then we saw other leaders in Bachelor Nation step out and say, you know what, we agree and we all stand together. So, you know, congratulations on, I know you weren't looking for, you know, congratulations in that, but it really was inspiring, and you guys led the way. So it was really exciting to see that. Going along with that line
Thank you.
of course, going along with that line of thought, several cast members have been outspoken about how they think the franchise should proceed. You know, Ivan Hall has stated that he wouldn't be comfortable, you know, with Chris Harrison in Paradise, and Serena P said the same thing. I'm very curious as to what your opinion is about that.
Yeah, I also echo those words of Serena and Ivan. I don't think I would feel comfortable being in Paradise with Chris there. And that is nothing against Chris. You know, I have had nothing but positive interactions with him. Obviously, seeing his interview was very disheartening and kind of showed a little bit of true colors that I didn't get to see during my time filming. But I think that it's about doing the work. And I just don't think in the time between, you know, his most recent apology and whatnot, and the time that Paradise starts filming, that that work can be done and that someone can really learn from their past mistakes. But I do completely believe that we should allow him to learn from his mistakes and learn to grow and take his apology, because, you know, I also don't believe in cancel culture, but I think that, you know, time is needed in order to educate oneself.
I couldn't agree with you more. I believe accepting the apology, and that's the first step, and we'll see what he does forward. And I do think you have to allow the person who, you know, made people feel a certain way, you have to give them the space to, you know, make amends and figure things out. The word that I keep hearing used over and over again is uncomfortable. Contestants feel uncomfortable with what has transpired, and they want to see how the franchise will respond to it. Do you have any recommendations, or what are your thoughts as to how the franchise should move forward?
Yeah, I mean, I think uncomfortable is kind of like an all-encompassing word. For me, I think the feeling is more frustration because, you know, we were advertised as the most diverse cast and we were the most diverse cast, but I think the nuances within our stories and, you know, celebrating the diversity within our cast was kind of overshadowed by a lot of the drama. You know, moving forward, I would love to see those diverse stories, you know, women with amazing backgrounds and doing all these amazing things outside of Bachelor Nation coming into this franchise. I would love to see that celebrated, both among BIPOC women, but also white women. You know, I think that it's not about creating this divisiveness of BIPOC versus white. I think it's, you know, more about a unity and seeing how we can all work together to lift each other up, because I think that that's inspiring. It's not inspiring to watch drama, and while that is a part of the show, and you know, that's totally fine. Also having that cut with, you know, these amazing stories and all the amazing women I know and their stories, and seeing that played out on screen, that's what I would love to see.
Oh, Piper, we miss seeing you on our television screen. We really, really do. And the last time we saw you was at Women Tell All, which, in my opinion, was a little bit more subdued than I thought it was going to be. Tell me, take us back to what that was like for you. It's the first time that you've seen Matt since you were with him and you had to say goodbye to him on the season. What did it feel like to see him again?
Yeah, it was definitely, I didn't think that I was going to be that affected by it, but I think that actually seeing him, I was like, oh my gosh, like it's like seeing any ex after a period of time. And I wasn't expecting the beard either, so there was that.
Parents that probably
But
got you.
yeah, but no, I mean, it was good to kind of have the closure and to see all of the women have their closure, because, you know, it is a hard goodbye, because it's kind of just cut and then you're done. You don't get to kind of hash out those feelings, but being able to be like, you know, really punctuate the experience, that was good.
Yeah, and what about the women? I think because of what we saw during the season, we expected like a full blowout for Women Tell All, but it was actually quite the opposite. People were very apologetic. They seemed to have reflected on their performance, should I say, during the season. Are you guys close? And what was it like to see the women all together again?
Yeah. A lot of most of the women I say we're all pretty close. And I also think that being able to take a step back and watch it, I know at least for myself, watch it back and be like, oh my gosh, you know, I was really about my emotions or whatever it may be in that moment to make me or the other women act a certain way. So I think that, you know, having that time away from it and then being able to like actually watch yourself back, I think that's where a lot of the apologies came from, because the women that I know and like what was showed on screen, obviously that's what they said. Obviously that's what happened. But I think in reflection, it kind of makes you be like, oh, wow, that's not exactly how I meant it, or I didn't realize I was being that way. So I think that is where a lot of the apologies came from.
And I thought it was really great to see, because I feel like we saw you guys in one way, but there's clearly another side, you know, to the story. And so it was nice to see you guys come together, and I'm so glad that you guys have remained friends since the season. First of all, can I just take a moment and pause on your background? You have one of the nicest backgrounds that I've ever seen. It's like I can see that you're in Oregon, right?
Yes.
The nature of Oregon, the hills, I mean, just the plant in the background, the colors, like, I don't know, it's just the reflection. It's just, it looks amazing. As do you too, of course, Pieper.
Thank you.
So Pieper, you're a fan favorite. People were upset when they saw you go home. They were happy to see you again at Women Tell All. Will we see you again, Pieper? That's the question. We haven't seen the announcement yet, even though there's some rumors around who will be the next Bachelorette. If they ask you, or it might already be you, I don't know, which I'd love for you to break here on Extra, but if they do approach you about being the Bachelorette, would you say yes?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to lead a season. I think that would be amazing. You know, I think that we've had such amazing women leads, not to say that we haven't had amazing male leads, but I think that I would love to, you know, lead a season and then continue to, you know, preach diversity and unity in that. And I think that, Rachel, thank you so much for kind of setting the tone for this franchise, especially for women of color, leads of color. I think that, you know, I would love to follow in those footsteps, and I would love to continue that, and I would love to find love.
I think you would be, thank you for saying that, and I think you would be fantastic. I'm throwing your name in the hat for sure. If we don't see you on The Bachelorette, would you be on the beaches of paradise?
You know, it's something that I grapple with. I don't know. I honestly don't know at this point, just because of the work that I would love to see done in this franchise, see that work done and then put into writing. That I think would definitely have a big impact on my decision to go to the beaches. But yeah, I mean, as of right now, I don't know. No decision has been made one way or the other.
All right, well, we'll be waiting. You know, I did see who you said was your Bachelor Nation crush, and I'm for it. Let me just tell you, I'm all about this Pieper, Mike Johnson, you know what I mean? I love to play matchmaker in all of this. I'm just saying, whether it be on a beach or off camera, I'm pretty good at this thing.
I appreciate it.
Pieper, thank you so much. Oh, listen, you got some fans here. I'm not going to call them out, but there's some fans here, okay, as well, who are wondering what's up with Pieper. Are you single right now? I'm just assuming that for you.
I am, yes.
All right, you got some these in the background. Pieper, thank you so much for stopping by. We love to have you, and we hope to have you again. We wish you the best in everything, and thank you so much for all that you do for the franchise.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you for watching. If you want more Extra, hit the subscribe button and the bell so you'll never miss a video.